Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Today is February 9th, 2026. It's 5:31 p.m. And this is a work session for the City of Philomath City Council. I'm going to call this work session to order, and we'll start with a roll call.
Here. Here. Here.
Present.
Present. And I just saw a car park outside, and I see a Counselor Jessica Andrade getting out of the car. So
Imminent arrival.
maybe we'll just hold on roll call for one
Really?
second. Yeah,
For another minute.
Gary get a haircut?
Kevin.
Kevin did get a haircut. I've been gone.
Councilor Andrade?
Here.
Present. There we go. All right. We
We slow rolled the roll call.
You need to grab some food real quick. We can wait another minute.
Okay. I also want to say, since we're recording, that I'm sorry that we eat pizza during our work sessions, because I saw that the Portland City Council did that at one point, and now everyone on social media is just roasting them for eating pizza during a meeting. And I was like, oh no. So we're still gonna keep doing it. Well, I think people just felt like it was, I think they were doing it like during an actual meeting when there were people like buying, not just like at a work session.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was not their best.
We would never do that.
Yeah. Then again, their meetings also last like 8 hours sometimes. So,
they have to eat something.
yeah. Okay, well, we'll just kind of jumpstart with this while Councilor Andrade is grabbing some food. The work session today is to continue our strategic plan review from the council retreat. So as the city manager laid out here, the attached document has sort of where we landed with our rearrangement and editing and everything after the retreat. And now part of what we want to do today is just look through that, make sure everyone feels like it reflects where they thought we landed at the retreat, and then look at the actual action items and priorities for the year as we work towards sort of doing our second round of updates and identifying our top 10 priorities in the year. So I'll turn it over to Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mayor. Again, appreciate everybody's efforts going into this. The plan for tonight that I want to take you through is literally just go top page and work our way through. I'm going to make one significant change when I put it in the agenda item summary that I think that you will like. Rather than have you hone in and focus on 10 action items, we're actually going to move up and we're actually going to let you pick 10 objectives to work on. So as we're going through looking at those, the action items for tonight are really just to make you or help you think, like, if this was an objective that I wanted to prioritize, what would an example of an action item look like, or what would an action item for staff to work on or for us to work on look like? But it's really going to be at that objective or the objective level that I want to hear the council's priorities. And so rather than trying to narrow it down to 10 action items, it will actually be narrowed down to 10 objectives for tonight. Some of those objectives might only have one action item that we do for the year, but some might have 2 or 3 action items that are kind of simple, more bullet point action items to do. And you'll be able to capture maybe 2 or 3 action items under that one objective that the council's got or that the city's got for the year. So I don't want to get too caught up in like our one pager where we say, hey, here's the 10 things we're going to do this year. At the end of the day, most of those will probably be more objective based or action based, but we kind of reword those anyway, so it makes sense to the public. And none of them are like word for word out of the strategic plan's objective or action item. We kind of wordsmith it so it makes sense to the public. So for tonight, we're going to go through page by page, looking at the objectives. We want to make sure that under each goal, the objectives are in the right order. Again, there's some of the goals only have one objective, so it's right. But in most of the goals, there's 2 or 3 objectives. We want to make sure those are in the right order for the council. We can do a little bit of wordsmithing tonight as well. Again, any of the changes that were made that you're seeing here in red or in blue in your case, any of those changes were taken from feedback I got from groups of 3. Okay, so there's no majority here that said this is what we wanted to say. This was small groups of 3. In some cases, I had 2 groups. In a couple of these, I had maybe 3 different groups that looked at a topic. But some of these, it was like a group made a suggestion, and that's reflected here. And so, and of that group of 3, there might have been one person missing and one person had the idea, and the other person like, yeah, go for it. So don't feel like this is what it needs to be. This is based on the input I've got, here's what it is, without necessarily a high recommendation. It's here's the feedback, okay? So feel free to make some tweaks here, make some changes. By the end of the night, I'd like to make sure that we like all the goals, and we talked about that as a group. So I'm pretty comfortable with where the goals are at this point, but again, if we need to tweak something, still we can. But the themes and the goals should all be pretty good shape. Objectives, look at with a little bit more of a keen eye. When we get to that objective, if it's a high priority for you, as in something like in my top 3 or 4, that's a good time to voice that opinion to the rest of your council members to say, this is really important to me and it's something I think we really need to focus on this year. And you can give maybe a sentence or two of why that is, but just kind of alerting everybody like, hey, this is high priority. I think it's important. Does everybody agree? I think is a good time to have that discussion on those items at the objective level. If it's something that you think is really important, but maybe this isn't the best year to do it, like, hey, this is really important, I get it, but probably for this year, maybe not. Maybe we do this like next year, year after, definitely want to get to it. But for this year, I don't feel like it's the most important thing that we hit on. Those comments I think are welcome as well and would be good. And again, if there's little tweaks to the objectives, that's great too. The action items, I don't really want to spend any time wordsmithing. I can answer, or staff is here to answer specific questions about an action item if it's going to have an impact on whether you think that objective's a priority or not. But otherwise, I don't want to get into like wordsmithing the action item, talking too much detail about them other than to answer kind of high level questions like, what does this mean? Or what is it referencing? And we can answer those types of questions for you tonight. So themes were solid. Goals should be like 90, 95% there. Objectives, we want to really focus in on objectives tonight. And I'd like to get through all the objectives, hear from each of the council members on what your top 3 to 5 to 6 priorities are as we get to that objective. Let everybody else know that's a high priority for you and why. Make sure the orders are correct. And then if we've got that 10 or 15 minutes, and then if we can do all that in 35, 40 minutes, then we've got some sheets done out and we'll do the sticker deal tonight and help us get to kind of that top 10 level of objectives tonight as well. Knowing that we're still gonna do a little bit of wordsmithing. Once we get to that point, then staff's gonna look at those top objective priorities and then we'll build out the action items under each of those and make sure that those are things that the council's interested in. And that's what we'll come back to in March is gonna be, here's your top objectives you talked about. Here's the action items under those that staff would recommend that we do. Are you comfortable with the action items, comfortable with those objectives? And then we'll move forward from that. Does that make sense for tonight? Where we're trying to go? Councilor Joy?
So to clarify, like for the action items, when we bring them up, if it's going to affect whether or not you support that objective as one of your top 6 maximum, or if, so whether it's present or not there, I guess, right? Not having a discussion about
In
it.
March, we will kind of have more of a discussion about the action items and the priority. And because some action items are like sequential, right? Like we'll do this, then we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we're gonna do this. Some are like, here's like 6 things we could do. What are your favorite? And so we'll have that discussion in March, once we know what your primary objectives are. But it doesn't really make a lot of sense to try to get the priority order of 8 different action items for an objective that nobody has as their top 10 priority, right? So that's what we're going to try to avoid tonight a little bit. Okay, with that, I'm just going to kind of start on page 1. If it's, let's see, here's real quick, and let's see a hard copy of this. If it's scratched through altogether, this was a fun kind of track changes version, sorry.
All my notes.
I think that's pretty obvious. So if it's that bright blue and it's scratched through, then it was an old objective that we eliminated. The numbering I tried to get right, but it might be, there's one or two spots where the numbering is a little bit off. Don't worry about the numbering too much at this point, other than the order. Make sure we get the order right. So objective 1.1.1 got replaced with complete Philomath Community Vision 2050, provide leadership and accountability for implementation. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
Yeah, and some of these fall under like stuff that we've already embarked on, that it's more like a, like, keep on going, right? Or, okay.
No question about that. The timeline for a lot of the like community meetings is like kind of almost for the first half of the year, right? Or
No, that stakeholder group's going to be working through most of the calendar year.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to understand for this strategic plan starting July 1st, do we have an idea of how much staff time will be involved in that versus consultant time?
I still think between staff and you primarily, but I think there's still going to be some time, July, August, September, October, kind of reviewing, giving input still, reviewing the final plan, talking about implementation, and then that first 6 months after the plan's
Right.
out there and approved is going to be critical as well, because then it's, are we continuing to meet, are we continuing to set goals, and
Okay.
yeah. So I would think that this is one that we should put pretty high priority unless the council feels like, we don't like the way it started, we're going the other direction, but otherwise, so, and hopefully that you'll see like some of these as you've talked about them, and the reason that they're on here in the first place is because they're already kind of a priority for the council. So your top 10's already kind of out there, it's just a matter of you guys helping put the finger on it, right? So, but all of these should be priorities, or they wouldn't have made it this far at this point. Okay, goal 1.2. City services and operations are continuously implementing improvements. So there's two objectives here, so want to make sure they're in order. Implement appropriate technology to improve efficiency and expand transparency. And the second objective is to implement constituent comment tracker. Yeah, Councilor Bunch.
Few things. The first one, Cassell, that's the evidence-based stuff, right? No?
No, that's the
Finance,
This-
finance system that we use. Right now, it's a software system that's on our computers. We're working to integrate that over to a cloud-based system instead. That'll have a like monthly subscription fee instead.
I do suggest that we add financial in front of operating because most people won't know what that is.
Oh,
So that's easy.
you can do
For
that.
the action item, yeah.
Yeah.
But their objective, that objective should probably stick around for a while because we're going to be implementing a lot of new technology here and there, not just financial. We'll have it also in the water system, the meter readers that we have. We're thinking about adding a module that will let citizens come in and look at their data. So this is like something we probably should really think about keeping just continuously.
Thank you. I agree with that. I also would like to add update the live streaming equipment. From anytime I've talked with people who have watched the meetings, the two things they say is the audio is terrible and it's difficult to tell who's speaking if they're not familiar with our voices. And I know I haven't had the best experiences whenever I've been on the Zoom end.
For 1.2.2, this is, I don't want to be too nitpicky, but I just think I might rephrase that as just like improve constituent, or improve responses to constituent concerns or something. Just because I don't want us to just have a tracker. Like, I feel like a tracker is an action item with the objective of just improving our response to constituents, kind of, because I feel like that also includes, you know, going out and doing whatever it was or looking into it, and not just like, yep, we're tracking it.
Yeah, and the constituent comment tracker could actually be like an action item if that's a priority.
Right, exactly, yeah, like if the objective is improve constituent responses, an action item is develop a tracker or something.
Could be one of them, yeah.
Yeah,
The technology that improves
Right,
efficiency and
yeah.
expands
I
transparency.
think we heard from Chelsea last time that the website can do some of that, so it might just be
Right.
educating the public on how to use the
right,
website.
right.
So anyway, again, if that's a priority objective, then we can build out some more action items under that objective. Okay, so go ahead and, yeah, let's change the language for objective 1.2.2 to improve responses to constituents. And again, we can wordsmith that a little bit more too.
Yeah.
If it's a high priority, we can,
Something so it's not just about one specific system or something, you know.
Could it be communication rather than responses? Because it seems like that overall would be better than just to respond to what they say.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, for me specifically, the thing I've heard from the community is around, like, I think we have done a lot of, to our sort of city-initiated communication, like our newsletter and our website and social media and everything. I think we're doing pretty well with that. The part that I've heard more frustrations, like when it's resident-initiated communications, just making sure that there's follow-up and everything.
We'll note that this goal is specific to city services and operations are continuously implementing improvements.
Yeah,
So I think that's part of why it was labeled with like specific to like an actual system.
yeah, like the next goal is 1.3, council and staff have meaningful engagement with
Yeah.
residents, and there's several objectives there and action items that fall more into the
But
communication.
if you make the broader, still makes sense, but it just with more system focused.
Are you good with the order of the objectives?
1.2.
1.2.1 and then 1.2.2? That seems right, okay. Mayor, you good? You're doing the head shake.
well, I don't know, I just feel like 1.2.1 feels like a little more vague and it's already happening. Whereas 1.2.2 feels like more of like a policy objective. But
Those risks, Council Phil, you want to make 1.2.2 the first objective instead of the second?
I think it's reasonable.
Okay, Kristen, want to just change the numbering? And the reason I'm going to reference Crystal is because she's got the master sheet, so we're going to put stickers on.
oh, okay.
So she'll make those changes. So when you see it put stickers on, it'll be reflective of the changes we're making right now. All right. Okay, goal 1.3, as we read, council and staff have meaningful engagement with residents. This one's got several objectives, 3 of them. Have intentional engagement with the public on a regular basis is the first objective. The second objective is to establish a youth advisory or youth advisor position to serve alongside the city council. And the third objective is to establish a robust recruiting process for recruiting volunteers.
I'm gonna do one. I'd be curious what the rest of the council thinks, but I would be more inclined to still do the like youth advisory council model over having a youth position on the council. Just from some of the conferences we've gone to, I feel like that's been more meaningful for cities, other cities. And having started the student member on the school board, I feel like it's always struggled a little bit with having it be meaningful, where like sometimes they're just sitting there in silence for 2 hours. Which granted, that partly just depends on who you get, but I also think having it be a council allows more participation instead of just like one person. And with the school board, I feel like the reason you have a student there is the whole point of the school board is to serve students, whereas the point of the city council is to serve everyone in town. So it feels a little weird to me to be like, why would we have a specific seat for this one constituency and there isn't for something else? But anyway.
Agreed.
I think it depends on what candidates we
Yeah.
get. I think the really good candidates are so busy that they're not likely to want to jump on. And we might get a great one, but we might not. And
Yeah, the feedback from the sheets, I think on both, was just the concern about having enough students being available.
Yeah.
So that was the question, was like, would we have enough students? Should we just limit it to one and maybe run like a seat with the council as opposed to trying to form an entire youth council just
Right.
based on size? So that's what the comments were associated. So I wordsmith this to kind of trim it down, but
Maybe, could we just make it generic and just say like, establish avenues for youth participation or something, and then we can kind of like,
Figure out what's gonna work.
yeah, like try out something and see if it works, and if it does, and then, because I hear you, I mean, I might,
we could start with one and.
yeah, exactly, maybe
carry
we'll
out.
try a council, if the council doesn't work, try a representative, that, as all under the goal, the objective of increasing youth engagement, participation or something.
I definitely see that the youth voice is kind of missing. So I love the idea, but I think I also agree that we don't have any other group of
Right.
constituents that gets their own, and then you're kind of starting a whole, do we give it, do we have one for everybody or just, yeah?
one and
Senior
one.
advisor.
Yeah, I feel like
Historically, there's been no shortage of senior representatives. Historically, of course.
So taking the mayor's comments, have establish an avenue for increased youth engagement with the city council.
Yeah.
That work?
Cut me off if you need to. I don't feel like that should be one of our top priorities. I think that could be done without it being laid out as a strategic plan. If we're only doing 10, I would hate for that to take up a spot. Isn't that what we're doing, is cutting them
That's
down?
exactly appropriate. Yep. I think those comments are very helpful. Yep.
That's only me.
Okay.
All right. And then establish a robust recruiting process for recruiting volunteers. Other than being redundant, I think we.
Well, one of our
Establish a
groups did
recruiting
have a
process.
suggestion for cutting out that redundant word, so I don't know where that went, but.
I might have missed it, or maybe the other group did.
I don't remember what we
I think
wrote.
we can take out the second recruiting yeah, recruiting process for volunteers, period.
Establish a robust process for recruiting volunteers.
Okay, we'll take out the first.
Establish a robust process for recruiting volunteers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know someone in this group had that idea. It was.
Councilor Dowdy?
Some suggestions of things to think about in regards to actions for this. A lot of people really love the swag and are like, do you have stickers? Do you have like more mugs? Can we buy them? Can we? So it might be worth considering having some swag for, I don't know, graduates of the Citizens Academy, or like, thank you to these people who have volunteered over however many hours of service.
Cool, we love swag.
Swag service.
Let's generate a little extra revenue, starting.
We just need a city council member to volunteer to man the gift shop, or to manage the gift shop.
Okay.
Great. Anything else on goal 1 sorry,
Yeah, they all say
1.3? Yeah, 1.3, yep, thank you.
Just point out that given the changes that we have coming up that aren't real popular, I think this should be a pretty important set of objectives.
You like the order of them?
Yeah, I feel we're pretty solid. I was just saying, like, in terms of weight, I feel like since we have the billing changes and potential fees and other items coming up, and it's really important that we're listening and engaging well. So, I mean, so yes, because I think we have an okay volunteer system, and it's sort of in the last position, that makes it sound less worse than it is. I just meant, like, you know, it's not as weighted heavily as making sure that we're directly interacting in public.
Not to get us off track, but just we're recruiting volunteers. I know we launched the whole volunteer sign up liability or other thing. Have we done anything with volunteers yet? Because I guess I'm just thinking about for this goal, like I don't want to start having a robust process for recruiting if we're not actually sure what we're gonna use them for yet.
I think the action items are what would dictate that. So are you looking for volunteers for
Okay.
committees and boards? Are you
Gotcha.
looking for volunteers in parks? I think the action items would drive that.
Right.
So you're in the general sense rather than the legal sense.
Sure. Yeah, and that always boils down to it as well, but
Okay.
yes, I think that has room to expand
Okay.
what
Yeah.
we're specifically focused on in any given year.
Okay, then the final goal, 1.4, the city budget has appropriate reserves within each fund. There's only one objective, so it's in the right order. So it's to build appropriate ending fund balances in the general fund and each enterprise fund. And you can see a couple of action items there.
I would like to see the word reserve instead of ending balances. Is that reasonable? Because I think reserve is very important. Ending balance is what you have.
I get. Is there anywhere else we could put that objective?
I feel like the objective and the goal are saying the exact same
They
thing.
are. I feel like we put that. Let's see where else it could go. We could have just gone under like one of the.
Implementing improvements.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
implementing
1.2.
improvements. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, can we just move it to goal 1.2?
Or 1.1. Future.
Because it's like a very
Yeah.
technical goal. You know, like I feel like like improve for the future, and then the next goal, have appropriate reserves in each fund. You know, I don't know.
I think I kind of like goal 1.1, that, or putting it in with that one because.
Yeah, I think 1.1 or 1.2.
Future.
Like, where do you like it? 1.1 or 1.2?
There's only one in there.
Yeah.
So we don't lose sight of it.
All right, I call it goal 1.2.
1.1.
1.2.
Objective 1.1.2. The goal is going away,
You know,
so the goal is gone and the objective is 1.1.2, right?
And you could put it for reserve and
Yes.
Yeah, reserve instead of
That
it.
was expensive.
Build appropriate reserves.
In general fund with each enterprise fund.
That's one specific.
For me, that is a priority. I think if we're gonna do all the changes we're doing in our city as far as rates and things, I would feel more comfortable, just me, as far as saying that we're doing something with that money that has long-term effects.
right.
I think that gives us more weight in what we're doing rather than that we have a plan for those funds is important to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Agree.
All right, not to go backwards. Everybody feel good about theme 1? Good governance, community engagement. All right, theme number 2. We're humming right along, doing great. That was the shortest theme. Healthy economy. Goal 2.1, revitalize downtown. That was the top objective. Second was objective 2.1.3, which is misnumbered. Yeah, all these are misnumbered a little bit, so it should be a 1 and then a 2, but improve Main Street in the commercial district east and west of downtown. And you can see the action items there that are kind of reflective of that. Several of those were very specifically detailed out. And then the last objective was to implement public art. I think that is right. I just didn't move it. So objective 2.1.1, the top priority.
You can't move it.
I just didn't move it up above, so my apologies. The numbering is correct, the order is incorrect. So the top priority was implement public, no,
No. We moved that one to
it did get
the.
moved, so
Yeah,
that is, we got moved. It used to be 2.1.1.
correct,
It got updated to 2.1.3.
correct.
It got demoted number 3. So 2.1.3 is actually 2.1.2. And what is labeled as 2.1.2 is 2.1.
Crystal's gonna.
They are correct in the order in which they are
We
displayed.
don't have any.
So questions on any of those objectives or comments on any objectives or action items? Andrade?
The action regarding the Main Street crossing at 17th Street, is that different from the action in 4.1.6?
They're the same. I wasn't sure what they were kind of identified by both, so I was kind of, eventually we need to figure out where it needs to go.
I was gonna say,
Is that kind of,
2.1.2 now, I got the improved Main Street east and west of downtown. It just feels weird to have that under downtown, except we're talking about not downtown. Can we move that to Philomath as an inviting place to visit? The improved beautified highway medians and create a plan to improve pedestrian amenities, and then move to upgrade the crossings to safe streets.
We can. My only reluctance would be, where does downtown start? Where does it end? Right? And some businesses
have a
want to be
core.
considered downtown, even if they're like Main Street is downtown, because we're Main Street, even if we're out at 16th, right? Or if you're down on like 8th Street, like I'm still flowing downtown because I'm on Applegate Street.
I guess I just use
8th
like
or 9th.
wherever streetscapes.
You do have a lot of business owners though that
I would like to see it say extending, make downtown rather than improve Main Street, extending it east and west on Main Street, which I think would take care of those businesses that want to be part of. And granted, we're not gonna do the whole streetscape benches and everything, but to include them.
I mean, zoning wise, there is a difference between the C1 downtown commercial core, which is supposed to be more pedestrian friendly. You don't have the drive-throughs and the, that kind of, it's not as much vehicle centric. And then your C2, which is a general commercial, which does allow for your drive-throughs and banks and more commercial, like vehicle traffic type thing. So there, in our zoning map, there definitely is 2 different zones there between a downtown pedestrian downtown and a business district, which is a little bit different. So yeah, I mean, we can, again, just this kind of morphed into the way it is based on
Sure, I
how it
know.
was set up before. And I think the wording for this goal is different than the original as well. So if we want the goal to stay downtown, Philomath is active and thriving, and the focus of that goal to be that downtown core, I would dictate it more around like the zoning there, like that pedestrian friendly downtown core. Then I think, yes, we need to pull the things out of this goal that aren't in that downtown core.
I thought that we already revitalized the downtown core, and why would this be another?
Well, looking at the action items, there's still more work to
additional
do.
work to be done.
So repaving 11th and 12th Street to add more parking. Additional projects along downtown, strategic projects, so more flower baskets, more holiday decor, more flag stuff.
The art is on a separate
North
one.
13th Street.
Also still.
Yeah, so there's
Downtown.
definitely more downtown stuff to do, which is different than like the business district things that we could do. We just need to, if we want to separate it that way, which makes sense, then we need to just pull the stuff that's not in that downtown core and put it into like the more street improvement section or business improvement section.
Like, I guess I've always viewed Philomath as like, if you compare it to Corvallis, which I know we should never do. But like the part from 14th Street to like 14, like from, the Chevron almost, from the credit union to the end of town is like downtown Corvallis. And then the part to the east of that is like 9th Street, where it's like a separate type of commercial
Commercial
district. They're
district.
still both vital, but they just serve different needs and different, one is for like pedestrians and, you know, grabbing a drink and going to a restaurant and little shops, and one is for like, large stores and gas stations and drive-throughs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and again, not to get too tied into the action items, but like the 17th Street one is elsewhere on kind of safety. 19th Street similarly could be identified as an action item on kind of safety corridor type stuff. It's also in the school circulation study, so it could be included in that list of projects as well. I'm trying to look at the action items under 2.1.3 now. But like improve beautiful highways, that could easily drop down to goal 2.2, where it's kind of supporting the businesses and economic development is encouraged. That could be outside of the downtown area. So some of these action items could definitely still be carried out, but it'd be like objective. Again, it'd be an objective under goal 2.2.
Or goal 2.3, I agree with, as far as beautifying, I think it makes it more inviting to be a goal 2.3.
Yeah, I agree.
That's on me.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to move objective 2.1.2 to goal 2.3. So it'd be which objective? Where would you prioritize it under the goals of 2.3? Right now, there's two.
Public restroom staff.
So you've got promote and support tourism, support efforts to improve Skirvin Park, and support Mary's Peak, the specific scenic byways. Want to put as objective 2.3.1?
Sorry, are we making a new objective?
Be a
Or are
new
we
objective.
just, I thought we were separating out the action items.
I think we'll remove some of the action items and put them elsewhere.
Okay.
Some of those action items, I think, are still appropriate for that objective, but we would move them.
I think 2.3.1,
Yeah.
and then shift everything down.
Okay. So objective 2.1.2 is going to be changed to objective 3.1. Or no, 2.2.1.
2.3.
Sorry, yep.
Yes.
How you doing?
Objective 2.1.2 will be changed to objective
Okay, so is that improve Main Street or revitalize?
improve Main Street
Main
and
Street.
commercial districts. East and west of downtown is going to be moved to objective 2.3.1.
Shift them. And are we shifting two of those action items on that?
Yeah, I think,
do that
19?
later.
It makes sense.
yeah. 17th Street one, I would just strike because it's elsewhere in the document already. The 19th Street one, we'll find a new location that's more safety related.
I'll just say back to the topic of the evening. I would advocate for that one as a priority because, we've talked about it a little bit, but like some of the medians and everything outside of town are quite literally crumbling. And I think if we're going to put a lot of effort and energy into making our main corridor an inviting place that attracts people to town, it's worth putting a little bit of attention into the others too. So,
One of the action items that staff talked about ahead of time that didn't make it onto your version, but could still fit even under the new, would be to add some artistic silhouettes on the railings on Main Street. There's some in front of True Value. The thought was to extend that like in front of the gas station and Subway to kind of, again, we worked with the high school and had high school scenery about their projects. But the silhouettes in front of True Value is a small project and they painted them and Public Works mounted them there. And they do just add a nice little touch of artistic flair there. So the idea was to continue that further west or further east. So again, there's some more action items. We'll kind of vet those out if that's a priority for the council.
And what about the revitalizing downtown? For me, we talked about needing additional parking. I like the idea of some of those action items under 2.1.1. So for me, I think that's also getting that area in 113, also making that a gathering area by finishing that. It just feels more finished. It makes sense to complete that revitalization on that North 13.
And that first action item, that RFP just went out for 11th and 12th Street, so that's, we'll start that spring, summer, but that first action item, we're kind of in process of, we've already released the RFP. So it'd be like second, third action items, like if we want to keep that revitalized downtown as an objective, then those would be other things we'd be doing in addition to the 11th and 12th Street project.
Okay. I do think that.
And like, I know that we've talked about it like way back when about like the different ways to like the different parts of the project that could happen,
Street.
but
It's focused really on adding more on-street parking. So we talked about it when we talked about the capital improvement plan, it was identified there.
then that's how I was thinking of it as like an individual thing that comes to. I see. I haven't seen that.
I think it was in last year's strategic plan too, though. It's been on that development. Right.
Just the fact that the RFP went out, that's kind of more of the, wait, what?
That's good. All right, so just to rewind and go forward, goal 2.1, downtown Philomath is active and thriving. We're good with that goal. The action item, revitalize downtown, that's the top objective. Are we good with that being top objective for downtown?
Yep.
Or downtown Philomath active thriving? So we've got revitalize the downtown. My alt got stuck, sorry. The other action item, just I'll mention real quick, that staff talked about would be to establish some sort of a downtown streetlight district, which would be, it'd either be a district or a zone or some way to help collect funds to put in additional streetlights on all the cross streets in the downtown area. Right now, our process is if a new building goes in, like the new pharmacy, for example, based on where it's located, it's required to put in a street light on that street, but they have to pay for it because nobody else has developed before them. So they pay the entire cost of it. Everybody else gets the benefit. If the property next door to them develops, they don't have to pay for a new street light because there's already one there. Just seems inequitable and kind of like first one in there has to pay and nobody else has to. So the alternative would be to set up a district where everybody, when you develop, at the time you develop, you're going to pay into a fund that's going to pay for streetlights in that whole area. So it just kind of puts the burden, it spreads the burden out to more property owners rather than just the first one to develop pays the full cost of the kind of offsite improvements, if you will.
And so then the city is responsible for installing the street.
Right. Right. So we just create a fund of some sort. We would identify a district, Public Works identify how many streetlights and what the total cost would be. We would, and again, this is, if we go down this road, and this is one of the action items we wanted to do, I won't take a lot of time, we would essentially, the city would buy them, do the project. If we had to borrow money, we would borrow money, we'd do the project. And then as things develop, we would seek money to come back and reimburse the city for the project we did. It's much more cost effective that way. We can ensure that we have the materials. You know, I'm concerned one day those street lights, we're not gonna be able to buy those poles from that same company. And then everything's gonna be mismatched as hard as we try to make it match, right? So
We
if
had
we do the
trouble with that in
project,
between those streetlights that were purchased and then the
Yeah.
ones we purchased for
Yeah.
13th.
yeah,
that was a
13th Street poles are a little
whole-
different than the
whole
other.
headache.
Because we bought them at different times.
Yeah.
So the idea would be, while we still can, let's do that big project, get them in the ground, and then we can just get reimbursement from properties as they go.
And how would that be prioritized? How would the streets be prioritized and which one would it be all at once?
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Right now, this would be focused on the downtown
Makes sense.
area.
Help us to make it more uniform.
Right.
If not just the materials, but like make sure they're all in the same.
Yeah. But if you gotta call an electrician out, you wanna call him out 16 different times, you wanna call him out once to do 16. All right, so, but I knew that was gonna go sideways, but I just wanted to make sure that got noted in there. There's another idea of an action. So that would mean, we talked about improve Main Street, the commercial districts is now moved. So objective 2.1.3 becomes 2.1.2, implement public art and beautification downtown Philomath. And that feels appropriate to have that be the second priority as opposed to the first priority. All right,
I'll
goal
just-
2.2.
I'll just say for that one, I
Yeah.
think we need to update the action item.
Well, yes, if you prioritize.
I'm not sure this is in my top 5 or 6, whatever, so just
The public art and beautification downtown.
asking us to vote on this sort of thing, or
Right, we will vote. Yeah, it's full day
I'm expressing?
here.
I will say that this is including all those plinths that don't have art on them.
Right.
So the plinths, the concrete round and square things downtown,
yeah.
that's what this is. So just trying to get art for those.
And that's the way I view this one, is just that, in my mind, it's not even a decision. It's like we've already committed to doing this project by installing a bunch of plinths for art, and it feels kind of weird, like, I don't know why we would not put art on them, but anyway.
I guess just funding and
Right, I
time maybe.
just don't want us to view it as like, oh, should we start a new program? It's like, well,
We're trying
Yeah,
to
exactly.
get that going, so it's gonna be important of funding and.
So goal 2.2, industries and businesses are supported and new economic development is encouraged. So there's 3 objectives here. Develop city-owned property at 20th and Main was the top priority for people. Develop the city-owned property at 14th and Main into mixed-use commercial, low-income residential units was the second objective. The third objective was to create an encouraging environment for the development and expansion of desired businesses, collaborate with organizations focused on business retention, expansion, startup development, entrepreneurship, and establish new firms and strengthen existing business.
Which actually sounds like an action item, that last sentence.
The second sentence?
yeah.
Yeah. Could be.
Okay, I'm sorry I keep doing this. I really,
Should be.
all right. I just like, can we move the objective 2.2.1 to 3.1? Along with our reported heightened influence. It just feels like having, like that feels more behind rather than development.
Give me the number again.
2.2.1 to 3. It'll be 3.1.1 maybe.
3.1.1.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, because the only objective in that goal is increase the total number of affordable housing units within the city.
And that's true.
And that, yeah, and I mean, so then, I don't know,
Ding, 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 yeah.
yeah, in the first way, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Or, the one that's already in motion.
But everything else in here I think is good, apart from, I agree with Rich's comment on the 2.2.3, the putting that out a little more.
How do we define desired businesses?
I think that's up to us.
How do we, what was the question?
Define desired
Like,
businesses. I don't like the word desired in there. We could just take that out and say businesses, but
I mean, I do,
it's a judgment call then.
I think part of it was that it, like, there are businesses that people want. That we like, they want a grocery store, they want, so I think part of it was wanting us to try to be more intentional around, like, we don't just want, I mean, we're happy to take anything, but I think trying to put a little more effort into, like, what are the things specifically we want to try to,
We're
like.
recruiting for more storage units.
Right, yeah.
Where are they located?
Right.
Yeah.
We don't wanna be the city store.
I agree that, but I just feel like the word desired is too loosey-goosey.
Councilor Belli?
A couple of things on that note, then maybe, yeah, rephrasing the sentence so that, or the objective, so it's something about like intentional, I don't know, anyway, I can't word right now. But the other things were the 14th and Main, I would think that we would need to reword that One, because I don't think we can do low-income residential units if it were to be mixed use, knowing what our, what's happening with 20th. Like, it's an either or situation, an all low-income affordable housing, or it's a mixed use kind of situation.
I think there's opportunity, I totally get where you're going from. I think there's an opportunity still, so I don't want to close the door on that.
Oh, okay,
I think we'll know more when we hear back on the RFQ
okay.
that went out there, but somebody could come in and still do commercial first floor and affordable housing upper. We've heard there's constraints at the state level with funding to come in to make that happen, but I'd rather them tell us that can't happen than for us to say,
That's fair.
we're not interested in low-income housing in the downtown core.
That's fair.
Be
Okay.
open to that.
And then I think that we should really include an action for, I guess, 2.2.3 on re-evaluating time, place, manner restrictions specifically for cannabis, because like in light of our conversations about how much additional funding we need to not lay off anyone, like that's a potential resource of, like, we already receive cannabis taxes from the state. Why not allow that to happen for an additional percentage by allowing it here?
Yeah, not only get too caught up on the action items at this point, but I will say both the groups that looked at that one both recommended striking that language about specific businesses. Nothing specific about cannabis, but the language that used to be in there about
That's fine.
things to specific types of businesses or.
Which is why I was
Other
saying
words.
specifically cannabis, so that way it's less ambiguous.
But I think if this is an objective that's identified, then we can flesh out some more action items with that and be more specific about cannabis specifically.
I'm just trying to think for Counselor Crogger's thing about, like, can we just say like underrepresented businesses or like just something to say like businesses we don't already. I don't know if underrepresented.
Heard.
Or needed.
So I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll get
It's
it.
kind of a weird modifier no matter what,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Still kind of
Yeah.
hanging like in this weird.
We're spot.
I'll highlight desired and then
Sure.
kind of see what we want to do.
Yeah.
with it.
I do like something that, yeah, like the store, the things that the constituents we ask for.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a core set of like, it'd be great if we had, obviously store is like the top of that list. Other,
And I think just like using it's like an approach, we don't want to just be like, a fly trap and kind of whatever
Yeah.
flies into our thing. We're like, oh, great, this is what we'll do now. We want to do a little, and I don't want to be, I don't think that's what we've been doing, but
Right.
just, we want to do more to attract certain things. Yeah.
Well, there's definitely ways that you can write development code that would
Exactly.
eliminate or encourage
Yeah.
certain types of businesses in different locations. So
Yeah.
I think if we're going to be intentional about encouraging an environment for it, then we
Yeah.
kind of have an idea of
Yep.
things we're doing. I mean, we are very specifically creating new regional commercial zoning that would allow for a grocery store to come and flow within areas of town where currently they wouldn't be able to be. Rather, it's very intentional, whether it be a grocery store or a larger box store. So I think that's kind of what this was trying to capture, was we're already kind of doing some of these things with some of the code changes we're looking at, but we've not actually gone through with like adopting them. But adopting them would be in line with this objective, right, is.
That's what I hear as far as the need for something like a box store or grocery store, more than, yeah, we need cannabis.
Agreed. I don't think it's an either or situation.
Okay. 2.2.4 looks good to me.
Order?
Former presidents have opportunities to work with those.
Yeah.
The opportunity zone, I won't go into a lot, but again, this is a state recognition that we would get. It allows for, well, it's through the state, it allows for federal tax exemption. I don't know a whole lot more details to it, other than I know that there was a first round. I think there was 42 or 82 big difference, but
Yeah.
I don't remember the number. There were a number of cities that jumped on board and got recognized as opportunity zones in Oregon at the federal level. And it was so popular that they're doing a second round, which will make them permanent. And so it kind of locks you in, I think it's like 10 or 15 years. And so it's kind of a big deal from like your federal tax perspective for businesses. So kind of a big deal. We do have one local business in town that's interested in the city pursuing that. I don't know that it hurts us at all because it's federal income or federal tax that gets saved on. It's nothing local. So, but there is an application process to go through. They're starting their round here in the next 2 weeks, months, something like that. So it's probably something I'll kind of tune in on anyway, just because a business has asked for it. But I don't know, it's over involved. But again, I was trying to come up with an example of an action item that would show what we're doing to try to get living wage jobs in town.
Okay, makes sense. Making it more friendly to run a larger business here would help increase.
Okay, we're gonna do goal 3 or goal 2.2.
Yep.
We like the order. Goal 2.3, Philomath is an inviting place to visit.
This is where we added
2.1.3.
Yep. As the top
Top one.
objective.
2 point.
Yeah.
2.3, but
And then everything bumps down from.
Yep.
Everything ships down. This is good. The only thing I'd just be curious with the council on would be maybe moving Skirvin Park up one, because you'll notice a trend with me is that if it's something that's already sort of half started, I want to finish it before we start other stuff. So that's my thought with like the public art and with Skirvin Park and everything is like, I know there's a lot of other important things, but like I want to put Skirvin Park to bed. I want to put public art to bed before we start new things. So I would advocate for moving that up one, but yeah.
I would prefer not to, only in the sense that I think that I personally still would like to have more information about how the city, like the community as well as the city, like sees the long-term vision for Skirvin Park and the city's relationship to it. I know during our retreat, our council retreat, we had talked about like, oh, how cool would it be if we had like these city events there and such. And I think kind of outlining that, it's not a memorandum of understanding, I think, because they're like.
So we've got a lease agreement with Frolic.
Yeah.
We're updating the lease
Looking
agreement with
at that.
Frolic. That'll have more. We've sent a proposal of a new lease agreement to the Frolic. I think they've got it back from their attorney, and so we're in negotiations with them. That's going to come to the city council for an approval. And so we'll highlight there the changes from the original lease agreement to the new one. And some of that language is in there about the city being allowed to host events there and some other things like that give the city a little more benefit and the public a little more benefit.
Well, and just figuring out like outlining specifically the responsibilities for each party, and I think the funding part of it, like where the proceeds go from different, like do the proceeds all stay with the Frolic or do they stay with the piece of land and property, and like if it's a private event versus like, I don't know, anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's different ways of doing it, and I would.
It's all in the lease agreement, right?
Okay, perfect.
I would just say, if you want to see all that and improve it, you should advocate for objective. Because that's the increased visitor and community use of the park.
Yes,
It is public
But it's-
property and the grandstands are the city's property.
yes.
So I think in the long run, it's a half-finished project. But I valid what you're saying.
It's the providing funding assistance. And
So that's an action.
that's the,
So if we just the
So
objective.
that could be an action item because that we finalize the agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, I kind of agree on that, moving it up, for the fact that if we're talking about promoting tourism and helping the businesses in town, I think there's a definite correlation between those tourists that come for the frolic and the businesses they frequent in downtown area. There's no denying that restaurants are busier and that people are busy. Even, I was at a meeting a couple weeks ago and they talked about fireworks. They were, where are there fireworks other than the 4th of July? And someone out of the area said, I think Philomath does fireworks sometime in July. And they said, yeah, it's for the frolic. And we got a whole nother conversation about the frolic and Philomath, what we're known for. So I think I agree that we have a partway done project in Scriven Park and I think we need to finish it. And I think in finishing it, then maybe it would also have benefits for our city beyond just Scriven Park, having more activities, having more things, but also bringing in more individuals that would then be using our businesses and spending time in Philomath, which is what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Mr. Carpenter?
Are the new baseball fields part of Scriven Park?
Yeah.
And so that's an example of a successful community
Yeah.
use of that space. So I'm just pointing out that's one of the improvements, and I don't know if there's room for more or not, but.
There wouldn't be room for more baseball fields there, but they have talked about doing football and other stuff, like flag football and other. PYC
Sports.
has talked about using that for things other than just Little League, but they're still trying to get the fields established with grass. Everything.
The different seasons, that would be good.
Mayor, is your recommendation to move it up one space so it'd still be underneath what used to be 2.1.1?
I think so.
So it'd be the 2.3.2?
Yeah.
Would be the recommendation.
Yeah, you're right. So it's actually
State what it is.
Yeah.
Is the council on board with that? There's a little debate there, but.
So you mean it would go up 2?
Because we have this one up here,
Because we're adding
it
the
would be 2.3.3.
Main Street is the new
Right.
2.3.1.
Oh, I know how to count, never mind.
That would make 2.3.1 bound to 2.3.3.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, making sure.
So I do have a
Yeah, I see that, but
question
it's numbered.
about the parking and information center. Is the information center the kiosk that we've been talking about? Because that feels like, well, I guess I'm skeptical of that objective, and would like, and don't.
Sorry, which objective?
2.3.3? Well, or I guess now what is 2.3.4? Because it's switching with the
The Mary's
solid
People
one.
Pacific.
Develop a parking lot and
Information center along Main Street. So you're good, line 24. It's still in that blue, so it looks like an action item. I am skeptical of that objective, but that might just have to do with the develop a parking lot part. Like, I think that is kind of the main question.
Yeah, it was.
And whether the information center is the kiosk, or are we talking about a building, like?
In the papers that came in, one of them specifically talked about this exact language, right? Parking lot and information center along Main Street. So I don't know if that was like literally like develop a new parking lot for like off-street public parking with some type of a information center there along Main Street somewhere, or if it was, I don't know. And we talked about this a little bit when we were talking about 14th and Main, that part of that area could also be used for like a public parking area that may be in collaboration with a commercial building that would also have some parking area available that could be open to the public on business days or whatever. So I wasn't sure on this objective. It was one that was recommended and thrown out there, and it was a low priority. So it's in the wrong spot here. It's numbered correctly as 245. It was kind of one of the lower objectives. So again, I'm happy to take more input on that because that was just a suggestion in one of the papers.
I guess I would keep it. I read it because I was stupid and I saw it was blue. I read it as an action item under support efforts that serve tourism, and I feel like that makes more sense to have it that
As an action
as an
item.
action item under a strategy for capitalizing on existing and expanding vehicle pedestrian traffic.
It is an action item currently under the develop the downtown core 13th Street, because one of the ideas for 13th Street is a pavilion with like a digital kiosk and some more benches stuff. So it'd be more like a pedestrian attraction at 13th and Main to have like a nice covered area, a new digital like interactive kiosk where you could find out like places to go and eat, places to go visit, have kind of a map. all the public buildings, where's the post office, kind of that kind of a informational kiosk. That's noted, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but that's noted as an action item in the developing the downtown. We might have covered it already.
It belongs elsewhere.
I feel like if it's elsewhere, let's just get rid of it. Okay, I realize I'm a big part of the problem, but we should move faster. Okay, should we move on to theme 3?
Theme 3, Philomath has affordable housing options.
And we already added.
Maine.
Yeah, we got 20th and Main on there as the first objective.
The only, well, yeah. The only thing for what is listed here at 3.1.1, I guess it's 3.1.3. My only question with that, when we say number of affordable housing units, do we mean like the HUD definition of affordable housing, or do we mean like housing that you can afford?
It's lowercase, so I do that as housing you can
Okay,
afford.
okay. Maybe just if we can.
Typically, subsidized housing, I refer to it as like subsidized affordable housing as opposed to just affordable housing.
Is 20th and Main just an action item under 3.1.1,
Could be.
like the top action item?
I mean, 3.1.1 is a pretty broadly worded objective, so it could
The only-
easily be an objective under there.
Action item, I know.
Or, yeah, I said the wrong thing. Imagine that at the.
Do we want to keep it its own objective, or do you want to make it an action item?
Only one.
I guess the distinction would be it is really like subsidized housing
That's true.
as opposed to just affordable.
Could we just like rephrase, like increase the options for housing in Poland or something? Affordable housing out of 3.1.1.
Right.
Like
That makes sense for this to be separate.
Yeah, and I feel like the objectives under 3.1.1 are more like,
Housing.
it's not just around like low income housing, it's also like just more options and
Just try affordable, just increase the total number of housing units within the city.
or increase the total housing options within the city.
I like that.
Okay,
I'm in favor.
great. 3.2. Philomath has great parks and trails. For 3.2.1, does that mean this is coming off of here soon, or?
We anticipate, we still have more to do next fiscal year.
But like, if we don't prioritize.
We are
as
starting
one of our
in,
top 10. It's gonna be finished.
it's,
The objective now is to install security cameras and signage. I don't know if we're going to do much more than security cameras and signage. So I'm kind of thinking this objective's kind of done once we get them up there. I mean, we're not going to hire officers to stand there or anything, so.
Okay, great.
To me, we're done with that objective, so.
right.
3.2.2,
It's complete. Just cross it off.
3.2.2, following the Parks and Trails Master Plan Capital Project List, make improvements to the city's parks and trails. I would like to do that. Great. This is very minor. Can we just flip the parts before and after the comma? So it just says, make improvements to the city's parks and trails following the Parks and Trails Master Plan? Sure. Okay. Sorry, Crystal. I'll
It's
bring you
okay
up.
if you don't get the whole wording on that one. I think they all can prioritize it.
That's a
so.
priority for you. You'll know which one to put your sticker by, right?
Okay. Objective 3.2.3, improve accessibility throughout community and neighborhood parks. I like that.
The distinction here a little bit in the wording is a community park is City Park,
Right.
Marys River Park Natural Area, and Skirvin Park.
Right.
Neighborhood park
Triangle Park.
is like Triangle Park, Paul Cocker Memorial Park, right? And then you have like a pocket
Pocket
park.
parks.
Pocket park would actually be more like Triangle Park is more like a pocket park than I would call like a neighborhood
Pioneer
park.
Park, Pocket Park.
So, you know, I guess it's a recognition, like we can't have ADA accessible restrooms in every park in the community, but definitely our neighborhood parks and our community parks, we want to make sure that we
Fair enough.
focus there because that's where the greatest number of people are. We can do the most good. So start there and eventually, obviously, I think our park board and staff, we do a great job being very mindful of accessibility, no matter what improvements, no matter where it is. But this is really focused on
Yep.
kind of our big three parks, make sure we make improvements there.
I'll just say very quickly, one thing that really made me want to have this on here at some point, I don't know if it'll be one of our top 10, but is just a couple times at the farmer's market, we've heard from folks who there's just like low-hanging fruit stuff of like to get onto the bridge at Mary's River Park, there's like a 2-inch concrete gap. So you can drive your wheelchair all around the park, but then you can't just, it's not like we don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars installing some new ADA restroom or something. It's just like, can we spend $1,000 putting in new concrete or something like that? Right. But anyway, we can continue.
I mean, City Park's got, I think, accessible restrooms, but the rest of it is not accessible at all.
Right.
And I would love to see some accessibility to the playground.
Okay.
Okay, we good with the order? Seemed appropriate?
Yep.
All right, goal 3.3, Philomath has events and opportunities targeted at building community. The first objective is follow the 2050 visioning plan, or following the mayor's gonna wanna change this, so should I read it that way? Yeah, following the 2050 visioning plan, identify priorities and provide support for community spaces, i.e. community library, museum grounds, rec center, community center, senior center.
I guess that, I like that. I would put that off till next year. Yeah. I don't know about that. I think we do need to prioritize it, just not this year.
Yeah. And we talked already about the mayor and I think we've got a pretty good feel for the city's priorities kind of going into it based on discussions we had at the Timber Hall. So I think we're comfortable there and don't necessarily needed a full objective to.
I think a lot of those are somewhat contingent on what comes out of the 2050.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, yeah, your point. So all these objectives,
So they may be
participate in the museum's
pushed off.
efforts. The museum thriving, that got moved up above. We talked about it. Provide support for community events, including funding, resources, and staff time.
Yeah, I feel like we could just kind of leave these with the understanding that these all might be a little bit on the back burner this year. But I think we shouldn't delete that.
No,
I would like to see the accessibility for the museum raised up a bit. And for the grounds, I'm not sure what is highly inaccessible. There's a place in the back, that's what I understand, but the dark,
Yeah.
it's awful.
So I think it ends up being the first one since we're striking the first 3.3.1. And the museum, we're in contact with them about.
Right, but I'm saying the accessibility is more important to me than the ground. I don't know what.
They're just talking about grounds improvement as well
Redeveloping
there,
the
the front
grounds.
lawn.
That's what's important in my book.
Yeah, I don't know how influential the city is gonna be on helping them
Right.
with the front part anyway, but it's kind of like, support it. Okay,
Right.
what does that mean?
Support you.
Oh, ask us for support, and we'll see if we can do it.
Give you a letter of support. Things.
I think just given that any of these next fiscal
Right,
year, I think
right.
let's move on to goal 3.4.
The city has great multimodal transportation options. So the first objective was to establish a new hyperlocal shuttle route. I don't know.
I do. Yeah. I have friends that are really challenged. And if they want, let's pretend that they live out in Newton Creek area. If they want to go to the doctor's office here or True Value, they have to get on the bus and go all the way through Corvallis to get to their own town. And it would be nice if we had, and I don't think we're talking a full-size bus, but it needs to be wheelchair accessible. And it could be like a minivan or a shuttle bus, something like that size. And just to go around Philomath, and it doesn't have to be full-time. It could be 4 times a day or something like that. And then also, if a wheelchair-bound person needs to go to the doctor at 10 o'clock, maybe we should be able to pick them up. And I think Dial-A-Bus might do that, but in general, it's very difficult for them to access the west part of the town because they have to ride all the way through
And do they
town.
find that dial-a-bus is less efficient than public busing?
I didn't ask that. Yeah, yeah.
I would love that. Given that we can barely afford our current bus system, I would advocate to keep pedestrian connectivity as the top priority for multimodal transportation, just because that feels like something we can actually move the ball down the field a little bit more with while we investigate options for a shuttle. But I mean, just from what Chris has told me, I think we're a little worried about our current bus route.
I didn't know anything about the current bus route.
No, it's
just getting
Financial
more
issue.
expensive. Got it, but the cost just keeps going up and up and up.
Just bringing this because I thought
I think it's a really good idea.
it's frustrating. I can't get to the other side of town, or if there's a meeting at the library, it's gonna be impossible to get there.
It could be handled under 3.2.3 to look at optimizing scheduling of bus stop improvements. The scheduling, maybe it's scheduling routes and bus stop improvements. And, I'm even thinking it's,
Or
To not,
I don't know, maybe a couple times a day, it just makes the loop.
Yeah.
And then goes, comes back and makes the loop and then goes or something,
Yeah,
but
that seems.
Could we, so are we okay then with taking objective 3.2.1, putting it as an action item under 3.2.3, and then just moving everything up one?
my understanding of the buses maybe only have one place for a wheelchair. So if someone gets on before you, you're in luck.
I think the new bus is too, but don't quote me on that. I can check.
Okay,
we'll just move that action item
Yep.
down, is what you're saying.
well, yeah, sure.
Yeah, if anything, it could be worded as like explore our options for, and then you
Yeah.
can just like list them all, including the.
Okay, so objective 3.2.1 is going to move down to an action item under 3.2.2, the new to 3.2.2.
Yes, under increased bus ridership.
Yep.
Yeah, great. Okay. Sorry, I just want to.
Yeah.
Okay, 3.5, along with practices good environmental stewardship, we have reduce energy usage in city buildings and vehicles, create a tree canopy program. That one I feel like we're doing all right on. Expand capacity to spread effluent through land application, increase community education. I feel like these are in the right order.
And all relevant.
Yep.
Any other strong feelings there? Or we good?
The spreading effluent would be great to do someday, but there's no
Yeah.
immediate demand. The farmer's not needing it tomorrow. It'd just be a nice thing to eventually be able to do, but.
Next time, better than $2 million.
If there is immediate demand, we'll be sure to like pick that out of the strategic plan.
Yeah, I'll ask it.
Or city car. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but it seems like it'd be very nice to get a hybrid or an electric car instead of another gasoline.
When I started working here, I committed I was not going to replace that car. So when I leave, well,
All right, executive session.
Or
Well, also, when I got here, the schedule was like, oh, we're going to replace that next year. I'm like, it's fine. And it's been here for another 8 years, 11 years since then. So
There is.
I'll show you pictures of what we had before we had that car. Noted. Noted.
Yes, let's keep moving. Yeah, we're good with theme 3.5? Okay. Then theme 4, safe community. Philomath has safe streets for all users. Which includes the transportation safety action plan, following through with grants and funding requests, increasing visible traffic safety enforcement along Highway 20 around the schools, transferring ownership of 19th Street to the city, install radar traffic enforcement technology, modernize or improve undeveloped streets, and by adding more things. Work with the school district to implement the recommendations of the school safety and circulation report.
Strong feelings.
That
right?
451.
That 4.1.4 was the additional,
Yeah.
other than just the west and east
Right.
bound Highway 20, but also then 9th and 19th and like that, 13.
Yeah.
So
The
it's kind of the major
Pittsburgh-
route in and out.
Objective 411, it's already underway, so it's for me getting that adopted, and then next steps would be to look for grant opportunities for projects that are in there. That to me seems like a natural progression of a next step, so I would advocate for that one to be in the top list.
Okay.
I went by the school today at release time, and you know where we put up the poles? That's working very well.
Primary
It's
school.
an easy way, except then you go to the next block and there's 10 cars parked in the bike lane, waiting for their turn to get to that spot. That's not ideal.
Which block? We can.
19th Street,
Yeah.
it's 19th Street, where the poles
Yeah.
are.
Oh, I didn't.
Pole, you have to cross the driveway, and then on the other side, there's 10 cars lined up in the bike lane.
Okay, any thoughts on the order of these directives?
I would maybe pitch an argument for moving the modernization efforts up a little bit, especially over the stuff that we're currently doing, like we do visible traffic enforcement now, and I mean, I don't know how, I mean, it'd be great if we do more, but it's sort of like already baked in that they're gonna do more of that as they have more capacity, and then same with install radar. I mean, I think we're just waiting on being able to even do that yet, right? Like the actual
I mean, we
equipment.
could, it's equipment and time, so it's
Yeah.
how much, equipment, time and money, because we need to hire additional staff to monitor that program, and
Yeah.
I mean, it would generate revenue. Would it generate enough revenue to pay for the staff it would take to run it?
We don't know.
Don't know.
But that's one of the main things people talk to me about, is they feel like people are speeding both on Main Street and Applegate, and they complain a lot to me about that. And I think that is one step we could make that would be visual and a big help.
Yeah, I mean, somebody speeds by me every time I'm driving
I know.
on the street. Without, I mean, to some degree or another, and then. But
Okay,
anyway.
Everybody feels good about the order? We're there. Are we to 4-2? Or we can finish?
So I just have one question real quick about 4.1.5. When we're identifying missing sidewalks, isn't that increasing pedestrian connectivity when we're I mean, it just seems that, is that the right place for that action item?
yeah.
We can take a look at it.
Thanks.
Maybe we can find or something.
Yep.
Yep.
Or you have a stack of action items there, widen sidewalks at.
Okay,
Mayor, can I make a recommendation? I feel like we're so close,
we are.
but we do have public here for our 7 o'clock, so maybe take a break, start at 7. Let's go through our council meeting, and then we can see where we're at. Maybe we tack on half an hour at the end of our meeting to go back into work session. It's a pretty light agenda. I don't think we'll be here overly late.
That's fine with me.
Okay. Well, it is a very like,
Drink.
I know, I was worried when I saw both of them. Okay, yes, let's do that. I guess, yeah, does that work for you, Crystal? Okay. All right, it's 6:54 PM. We're going to recess the work session. We'll meet in regular session at 7 PM. Finish up. So we are recessed, and we will return at 7 PM.
Thank you.